Good afternoon. Markets closed today. Dow's up 155 points. Nasdaq's up 118. If you're a Netflix subscriber, effective immediately, your subscription is going to go up $1 to $2 per month, effective immediately. This is maybe a little unexpected right now, but nothing too unexpected. Netflix is, if you have an account, which you probably do, $7 a month, for the regular package is pretty cheap. I think most people won't bat an eye, although the stock was up 6% today, which is actually for a company that size is a huge number. I read an article today that said that just increasing prices from $1 to $2 a month is going to add over $1 billion to Netflix bottom line, which that is just a huge number just by basically just an accounting entry. So Netflix was in the green today. Big day for Netflix. Another stock that was up pretty big today is Stratasys, ticker symbol SSYS. Stratasys is a 3D printing company. They were one of the high flyers back in 2012, 2013. As you probably know, 3D printers stocks fell off a cliff the last few years. Probably in 2012, 2013, I would think a lot of investors probably expected by now, 2019, everyone's probably got a 3D printer in their house. That hasn't happened. I know there's a niche market for 3D printers right now, but they just haven't accelerated in growth like a lot of people thought they would. Stratasys is an interesting company, though. At one point, I had some Stratasys stock and got out of it, just not because I didn't like the stock, but just because sometimes you just need the cash, and that's why you shouldn't invest with money unless you can afford to lose it. So time came along where I felt like it was better to take the money out of Stratasys and pay some bills. So, but Stratasys is the reason I put money into Stratasys in the first place is, technology stocks are usually pretty risky, but you can limit a lot of your downside risk in these technology stocks in an unproven industry like 3D printing. I don't think 3D printing is dead. It's going to take a lot longer than people thought it would. I think everybody got a little too excited about 3D printing. And, when things don't materialize as quickly as you anticipated, it can actually look like it's not going to work out. But I think it's just going to take longer. I think 3D printing will eventually be here to stay. But Stratasys, if you look at Stratasys, if you look at the financials, which even in a tech company, I think is underrated. A lot of people think it's all about the product, which is the most important thing. But if you have a good product, but you're drowning in debt and you have hardly any sales, it's going to be really difficult to, for the owner to, have the dream of their product or their company really reaching its full potential when you have so much debt. Stratasys is a company that has very minimal debt, and they do have significant revenue. And the company is only valued at, I believe, about $1 billion, probably a little over $1 billion now. Today, they're up about 9%. I think if you're a believer in 3D printing, I think Stratasys, SSYS, would be a good company to put some money into. Stratasys is, I think they're about $20 a share right now. So I think that's a pretty safe bet. I don't think they're going to fall much further unless for some reason 3D printing just becomes obsolete in the near future. But 3D printing is, I think, is going to make a comeback sometime down the road. And I think a company like 3D Systems and Stratasys are going to be a couple of companies that will probably get purchased by a larger company eventually. Another company that was up pretty big today was Rite, ticker symbol RAD. The stock was up about 9% today. I guess that's what I would call. I don't like using this term, but a dead cat bounce, I guess. Rite is a company that I consider is pretty much bankrupt already. They have been for years. The only reason they're still operating is because they restructured all their debt. They had way too much debt. So they're basically running on fumes. The stock pops every once in a while just because of speculators coming in. But I would not venture into Rite unless you want to lose your money. Another stock that was up big today for really no reason. This stock, I don't know if something is going on behind the scenes, but it was up about 7% today. Last week, one day it was up over 10%. The week before that, one day it was up over 8%, and that's Puma Biotechnology, ticker symbol PBYI. Again, no news really coming out today. Biotech stocks were up. XBI, which tracks the smaller to mid-cap biotech stocks, was up about 2%. But for a company like that to be up 7%, I guess it's not a huge move for a company that's valued at under $1 billion. But I've been researching them just because I've been seeing the big moves, and I think that's probably the speculation of a buyout from a bigger biotech company. They have an FDA approved breast cancer medication that's on the market. They actually, I was looking at their financials, the last 4 quarters, they have over $200 million in sales the last 4 quarters. And for a company that's valued under $1 billion, you just can't find that. I've never come across a biotech company valued under $1 billion who has $200 million in sales. Maybe there's one out there. I don't know of every single company out there. Maybe there is one, but yeah, I know for a fact that it is very rare for that to happen. And there are a lot of smaller biotech companies getting bought out by the bigger companies. So I think there's a lot of speculation as far as that goes. And a company like that with that much in sales, and they were a high flyer too. They were. Maybe you've heard of them a few years ago. I think in 2012, their stock was up 375%, I believe it was, in one day, or 275% because of trial results. The stock went all the way up to $275. And right now, today, it closed at $24.21, up a little bit from its lows. It actually was under $20 here just a couple of weeks ago. So it's kind of starting to trend back up here. That's one that's really interesting. I would definitely keep your eyes on Puma Biotech. Could be one of those stocks any day you wake up and it's gets bought out, or I know they're using what's the drug called, like NFLX, I believe it's called. They're trying it for other indications right now. So that could be one of those stocks that just all of a sudden just absolutely goes berserk and doubles or triples here pretty soon. Maybe it won't, but I think it's pretty safe. I think it's a pretty safe bet right now. It could go down to 20 again, but if you're being conservative with the amount of money you're putting into it, I think it's a pretty safe bet if you just hold on to that one and just wait for a little while. Again, that's Puma Biotechnology, PBYI is the ticker symbol for that. Do some research on that company. And we have some usual suspects on the list today for losers of the day. There's actually a good number of losers. I think I had 5 companies that I follow that were down over 7.5% today, which considering the Dow was up 155 points and the NASDAQ was up 1.7%. So good day in the markets. It's got to be really frustrating to to have a company that's down so much when the market is up. Tilray, talked about Tilray yesterday. Tilray was down 17% today. 17%. Can you imagine putting your money in a stock and the next day it's down? You lost almost 20% of your money in one day. And this is such an interesting story with Tilray. They're the medical marijuana supplier. They distribute marijuana in Canada and have some deals in the U.S. once it's legalized in the United States. And today they're down 17% apparently because there was a lockup period after the IPO where insiders or employees or whoever received stock during that IPO, and there's a period where they can't sell that stock. They have to hold on to it until a certain period. So apparently today was the last day of that period, and I guess there's not a lot of believers on the inside of that company because the stock just tanked today, which is interesting because of what happened yesterday. Tilray was up 7.5% yesterday. So, which makes me think, and this is kind of why I'm nervous about investing in marijuana stocks in the first place. I think a lot of the investors I think there's a lot of people just trying to catch that wave, and just throw money out there and think that new industry is just going to make them rich. So there's a lot of amateur investors out there, I think, and a lot of speculation. Because if you were a serious investor, you would know that this lockup period expired today. So if the stock was up 7.5% yesterday, that would mean a bunch of people were buying yesterday. And they're obviously oblivious to the fact that this lockup period was ending today. So I don't feel sorry for those people one bit who lost any money in Tilray today. Another stock that was down that I haven't seen down this much in quite a while is Goodyear Tire. Goodyear Tire was down 13% today. Some weak guidance. I read a little article on that. Nothing too terrible. I think 3% was the number. The sales were down 3%. They blamed China and Europe and some other supply chain issues. I never like to see that when a company is blaming other things for why they are not making more money. I think a good CEO would take ownership and say, hey, we can do better instead of blaming. Obviously, there are other factors out there that you can't control, but I think everybody knows about those factors. So I'm not too impressed. So I'm not, real surprised about the sell-off in Goodyear Tire. Although I don't like, blaming other factors. I think that Goodyear Tire could be a good stock. But I would put money into Goodyear Tire way before I would put money into Tilray. If you look at Goodyear Tire, they're actually profitable, unlike Tilray. Their price to earnings ratio is very low. They pay a 3% dividend. I know it's got to be at a 52-week low right now, maybe even a 2-3 year low right now. So that would be a good long-term deal. If you think about it, Tilray is worth $7.5 billion right now. A company that's unprofitable, doesn't have the experience, obviously, in a new industry. Nobody really does. This is a completely new field here with the medical marijuana. Nobody knows what's going to happen with all that. A lot of it is just a bet on, the United States and states eventually, coming around and legalizing marijuana, so which is a big question mark. And you have a company like Goodyear Tire, whose market cap is about half that, and they're profitable and they pay a dividend. So I think it would be a much smarter bet to put your money in Goodyear Tire in that situation. I think, especially with the drop today, I think the risk there is extremely low for Goodyear Tire. They have, obviously, everybody's familiar with them. They have a popular brand, some of the best quality tires on the market. So it'd be a good stock to get into. Another stock that was down big today. Let me see how much it finished down for the day. over 10% today, and that's ticker symbol AG. I believe that's the symbol for silver, and it is a silver miner, First Majestic Silver Corporation. Yeah, it's just got to be tough to be a gold and silver miner these days. We talked about Newmont Mining yesterday, who just bought Gold Corp. With the prices, especially silver, I mean, gold has fallen, but silver is back to $15. If you follow it at all, you'll know that silver was the same price in 2007, 2008, before the financial crisis. It went up to, I believe, about $50, and then it's fallen all the way back down to 15. And with the price of business, running a business going up, and the price of the material that you are mining for going down, that's just got to be an absolute nightmare right now to be a CEO of a gold or silver miner. And I see Newmont Mining was down again today. We talked about that yesterday, down over 2% today. They bought Gold Corp. So obviously investors are not too thrilled about the Gold Corp purchase by Newmont Mining. And another company we talked about yesterday, United Natural Foods, UNFI. United Natural Foods was down over 9% today, which is another big move. Not any significant news coming out. I'm guessing we're getting into earnings season here, so I'm guessing investors weren't too excited with what they heard at earnings. That's a company it's really volatile. Again, that was, I think, $50, $60 here not too long ago, and they're at 12 today. I think I would even let that one drop more before I pick that up. I think once it gets under 10, it might free fall down to $5 before that thing really bottoms out. They have so much debt that until they can prove that they can get that debt load down, it's a risky company to be in right now. I'm not sure. There's a lot of upside to United Natural Foods, but do you wait to get that upside? It could be years. Sometimes these stocks take years before they finally bottom out and start to go back up. So that's one I would maybe just keep an eye on. Pretty interesting story there. All the acquisitions that United Natural Foods has made in the last few years, especially the most recent one of Super Value, and it's not going very well from what I've read so far. So I might just want to keep an eye on that one. Another one that probably most people haven't heard of, and the only reason I've heard of it is because I have a landscaping company, and that's Site One Landscape Supply. Ticker symbol SITE. I actually buy a lot of supplies from Site One Landscape Supply. They've got one here in Fargo, and they've got high quality materials. Always have what I need. That stock, I think it IPO'd at around $20, and it went all the way up just within a matter of a couple of years, up to almost 100. I think a high was about $95, $96 it got up to, and today it fell 7%, and it's down to $53. It sounds like a mistake for that company, but if you look at the market cap, it is only about a $2 billion company, so not a large company. That one doesn't pay a dividend. They're on the verge of becoming profitable. They're about break even right now. It probably depends on the quarter. I would guess that there is probably a lot of investors expecting them to turn a profit this quarter, and being down 7% today, I'm guessing that that's probably not what happened. So that's maybe another one you want to keep your eye on. I know they're growing very fast, and they've got a good business model. I've been in their stores, and it seems like they keep their costs very low, and they've got a lot of business, and there's always landscapers in there buying materials. So another company to keep an eye on. But yeah, kind of a little more exciting day in the market today compared to yesterday. A lot of movers around there. So just if you want to keep an eye on some of those stocks that I mentioned, and just do your own research, read. It's always good to read income statements, balance sheets. Always look over those before you invest in any company. If you've ever got any questions or anything about any numbers or what they mean, please send me a comment and let me know, and we can talk about that. Hopefully one of these companies that we talk about someday become the the next Tesla or Google or Facebook. I would love to be able to find some for someone to find a company like that by watching one of these videos. That's really the reason why I'm doing all this, and my fascination with the markets in general. Today I had some things to do, but I start watching these stocks, like a Tilray and all these stocks that are moving 10 to 20%, and I get distracted. I sit down and I start reading articles. Why is this happening? And it's just an ongoing thing every day, and it's very interesting. So if you're watching this, I'm sure you probably do the same thing. So I really appreciate anybody that took a peek and watched the video today. So I will see you tomorrow after the market closes.